our party leader, Deputy President, the future president for 2022. And we are praying for him. Mungu asaidie kufaulu. He has good structure. Na wakati tutakuja kutoa katiba yetu ya chama mtasikia vile tumeipanga. And many people are saying I voted yes, why? And I want to ask the media people, have you ever heard Ruto saying no? Have you ever said no? Have you ever said yes? He has given us a space as members of the parliament to register according to your interest where you are. And my friend, politics is local. It's local. Lazima uangalie, where are we going? For example, as Ngunjiri, if I could have said no, and Central they want seats from Central, wamefinywa miaka yote, hawajapata equal shares ya presentation of the parliament. Saa hii wanapata. Mimi nirudi nipinge hiyo. Nitarudi niende huko nikaombea DP kula namna gani? We must be wise. It's not possible. Tumenyima watu wa Central tuseme ati sisi tumeenda no, hiyo katiba isipite, wasipewe viti, wasipewe nini, wasipewe pesa, MCA wasipewe pesa. By the way, this constitution, MCA, they have been given 40 million per year. Nakuru County, we are having 5 MPs. Naivasha, it is now approaching 200,000 voters. Can you imagine? MP is 1. Jane Kihara. When we have been given every member of the parliament in this country 290 MPs, pesa ya this year tunapewa 137 million ya CDF. How much money watu ya Naivasha wana lose? Because other constituencies zingine wako na 40,000 registered members. Wengine wako na 30. Wengine wako na 2 MPs na wako na county. Wengine wako na 3 MPs na wako na county. If I deny the people of Naivasha representative yao ikose kwa sababu ya mimi kuenda nipige no, conscious yangu kama mzee hainikubali. Kwa sababu calculate naona Naivasha 200,000 votes inahitaji kuwa na wajumbe wa 4, almost 5. So they are losing about 700 million per year. Will I be in that category denying the people of Naivasha having those seats? What should I tell them? Mbakiona mimi naongoza kwa UDA kwa deputy president, alafu nirudi huko 2022 niwaambie mkuje mpigie deputy president kura. Is it going to make sense? It cannot make sense. Why am I supporting deputy president? There are 5 candidates. Iko Raila Odinga, iko Kalonzo, iko Mudavadi, iko Gideon, na iko mwingine anapigwa na mama anaitwa nani hiyo Weta. Si yako hapo hata yeye. Sasa I'm looking for these 5 people as a senior person. Ninaangalia, ninaona kwa hii watu yote ni nani alitupia Uhuru kura? Ni nani alitupia Jubilee kura? They wanted us to fail. They wanted Uhuru Kenyatta to fail. They did not vote for the president in Jubilee. They did not. Even there are people that did not vote. Lakini Ruto died na alikuja when there is need. Uhuru wanted somebody who can help him and who has people. And that's why he went kwa Ruto. So, I still respect Ruto for that. My president have not told me something different. He just told me 10-10, go and follow Ruto. That's what he said. And he said you support the deputy president. Maybe only the thing, ni sisi sasa, hii watu wa kubweka pandi yote, pandi hii na pandi ile, tutulishe ball, tupe Uhuru na Ruto a chance of talking and sorting out their problems.
I voted yes, and I will still vote yes even up to now if it is reintroduced again. Because according to Article 257 of our Constitution, sub-article 9, and you can go and Google and read it. If Parliament passes the bill, it shall be submitted to the President for assent in accordance with Article 256, 4 and 5. Meaning, if we pass as we did yesterday, the BBI bill, then it will be taken to the president for assent or for a referendum as for the advice of the AG. Therefore, passing the BBI bill means there is a possibility of avoiding a referendum. Sub-Article 10 of 257 reads, if either House of Parliament fails to pass the BBI or the bill relates to matters specified in 255, the proposed amendment shall be submitted to the people in a referendum. Therefore, if we fail to pass, then it means it is direct to the referendum. And I know, as a hustler and as a Tangatanga leader, I know what Raila wants is a referendum, because he is known not ever to use his own money in campaign. He has been known to use pay bill number to collect money from Kenyans for election. He has been known sometimes for ODM tickets to be sold to the highest binder so that they can get enough money for campaigns. He has been known to campaign around hotels and to campaign in markets days where you have no mobilization fee. You only come to a market of Narosura, of Wasongoro, when people are there, and he campaigned that way so that he can avoid mobilization fee. This time around, Raila wants to use referendum as a campaign tool using state machineries. You know, politics is also wit. As much as you are book smart, you also need some level of being street smart. And in this particular politics, if you really wanted and you are a Tangatanga guy and you are a real hustler, you should have voted yes, so that there is a possibility of the president assenting to the law without necessarily the bill going for a referendum. And by that, we have denied Raila Odinga the chance of using state resources to campaign against us. And I've analyzed this particular BBI, this Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill 2020. I've analyzed it. And there is nothing that will warrant a referendum. And I know the AG is intelligent enough to advise the president accordingly. We have not touched on devolution. We have only increased the allocation to the devolved unit, which we have been doing since 2013. It has also stayed at least 15%. 35% is still within the at least 15%. We have not touched on the function of parliament, because parliament function or roles are oversight, representation. I have no apologies to make. I voted yes, soberly. I voted yes in broad daylight, so I voted yes. Yes, and that is our prayer, that there is a possibility. By voting yes, we have voted a possibility of not having a referendum. If we would have voted no, then it was sending the BBI bill direct to a referendum, which, as a hustler, my prayer is to avoid a referendum, to avoid them versus us, to avoid a no-yes campaign in the referendum that will divide Kenyans in the middle, like what we saw in 2005. We don't want that. We saw during Ndizi na Chungwa. We saw during 2005, yes or no. So that is what we want to avoid as hustlers. That is what we want to avoid.
Now, there is
to appoint the Prime Minister in consultation with Parliament. So if that is the case, then there will be a fresh start for all heads of government, the President and the governors. That one will be advised by lawyers, legal experts, and the AG. And if that is the case, then that is when you will ask me who is my candidate, because I'll be torn in between supporting Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto. And I'm sure we can sit down and have, probably William Ruto will go for the Prime Minister, and then Uhuru go for the presidency, or vice versa. That is when now we will have to really think. You can't compare Kenya with Zimbabwe, Kina Kagame. You know, you can't compare Kenya with that one. In 1992, there was a repeal of 2A, meaning we started afresh, and Moi started afresh. There was no problem in Kenya. It was like that. So if today the Kenyan citizens decide, through a popular initiative, that we want to start afresh, then there is no problem, and a 10-year tenure again will still end. So in any case, we are not actually, it is not an extension. You know, where somebody wants to extend his or her leadership is when they say there will be no limit to the number of terms that a president can serve. We have not done that. But if Kenyans decide, and the legal expert advise us that according to how we may have touched the function of the presidency, according to the way BBI bill have been crafted, it warrants a new start, a fresh start, then Sankok will say, so be it. So be it. Wanaume waingie kwa ballot na wangangane kila mtu. But it will be not the intention of Parliament, the intention of my president, the intention of my party to extend the term of anybody. It is only that we have changed the constitution, and in our amendment of the constitution, probably then it will be synonymous with that one of a repeal of 2A. As much as you need to be book smart, like Otiendo Omolo and James Orengo, you also need some level of being street smart. Of course, they are celebrating because they are reading from the books. Some of us are reading from the streets. We know where Kenyans are, and we know what will happen. And we know this win is for war. For who? Of course, this win is not for the handshake. This win is not for Raila. This win will safeguard the legacy of our president. And I know the AG will advise him to just assent to the law, and it will become law. And we'll start implementing it as early as next month, while they are waiting for a referendum. Because I know what they want is a referendum to avoid expenses so that they can use state machineries to campaign for Raila. That is being book smart. Being street smart is knowing that it does not require a referendum. It will be ascended to law, and then we start implementing it as early as next month. And then Raila Odinga, tafuta pesa bwana ufanya campaign, tupatane kwa ballot. Because I know tutashinda by saa 5. This time round we don't even want 70 plus 1. We want 80 plus 1%. And we know we have Kenyans. Tunajua hiyo hakuna wasiwasi. In terms of representation, you know, it is good for us to be represented on a level playing ground. The only problem I have is not the issue of representation. How many members of parliament will be there? It is Kenyans who will decide how many members of parliament a particular county or country will have, how much they can carry that burden. It is for you, the Kenyans, to decide. But then, the only problem I have is the revenue allocation formula. The formula that is being proposed by BBI, which I have a problem with, and during implementation we'll amend it, is the issue of 1 man, 1 shilling. Because development comes first and population will follow development. It is not the other way around, development following people. We are all in Nairobi. The population of Nairobi is so high, not because Nairobi have underground resources, but because of infrastructure development that is there. Our parliament is in Nairobi. Our cabinet secretaries' offices are in Nairobi. Our state house is in Nairobi. Good schools, good hospitals are in Nairobi. That is why population is high in Nairobi. If we develop Wajir, if we develop Oloyangalani, if we develop Narosora, I'm telling you, population will follow. And the more we develop this country, the more that we offload the high population that is straining social amenities in central Kenya, pockets of western Kenya, and in our cities. We offload. You know, there are 35,000 Kenyans, immigrant workers, who have migrated to Qatar, a tiny desert peninsula. Not because of anything else, but because of development. So for me, I will really propose that we use the formula of 1 kilometer, 1 shilling, so that we develop 80% of the landmass of Kenya under the hands of pastoralists, and then we offload the high population that is making our cities one of the major world slums. Our central Kenya is almost becoming a slum. So we have a problem with that. And then again, we will also try to see the issue of tax waivers for the youth, because you cannot waive that what is not there. You know, youth are not paying taxes because of lack of jobs. So I think youth need jobs more than tax waivers, because we cannot waive what is not there. So let us make sure that we have the bottom-up approach, kind of economic model, so that we can be able to create more jobs. And I'm sure our youth are patriotic enough to pay taxes. At the moment, there is nothing you are waiving, because you cannot waive what is not there. There is no taxes that youth are paying because they don't have jobs. So give them jobs, they are willing to pay taxes.